Another Duggar scandal. Another cult follower doing something disgusting and insidious because of the upbringing that they had. Usually I have a cute little intro, but since this is breaking news, I'm going to just jump right into it with you guys. I woke up to this news. I was at work yesterday, so I didn't see it. I didn't really have my phone. And then first thing this morning, I was like, okay, I have to talk about this. So bonus video it is. Now, briefly, I want to say all of this is alleged. Nothing has been proven yet. There have not been any charges yet. But yesterday, March 16th, 2026, Joseph Garrett Duggar, the seventh of Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar's 19 children, a married father of 4, and a former star of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, was arrested by Tontitown, Arkansas police on a warrant out of Bay County, Florida. The charges are lewd and lascivious molestation of a victim younger than 12 and lewd and lascivious behavior conducted by a person 18 years or older. So he is the second Duggar son to be arrested on charges related to the essay of children. But unlike his brother Josh's case, which unfolded really slowly over years through leaked police reports and a federal investigation, this one is moving forward in just 24 hours because the alleged victim, who's now 14 years old, and look, that's not to say that any other victim is weak or delaying the justice system. It's a really, really, really complicated situation for any victim, let alone an actual child, to be in. But in Joseph's case, when confronted, he reportedly also admitted to what he'd done. But this is more than just a celebrity arrest story. What elevates it from tabloid fodder into something that demands a more serious examination is what it reveals about the systems that allowed it to happen. Not once, but twice. In the same family, under the same roof, with the same parents who, by multiple accounts, knew what was happening both times and chose to handle it the same way, internally, quietly, through the church. This is a story about Duggar's arrest, but it's actually really a story about the machinery of concealment, about what happens when obedience is the highest virtue and accountability is the greatest threat. And when are we going to start holding these churches accountable for not bringing up abuse to the authorities? It needs to be written in stone. I am so tired of churches protecting pedophiles. What are we doing? Now, before we jump into all those systemic questions, we need to establish exactly what's alleged and what the evidence actually looks like so far, because the factual foundation of this case is actually critical. So in 2020, a family, not the Duggars, but a family connected to them, was vacationing in Panama City Beach, Florida. They were renting a rental home on Danny Drive, and Joseph Duggar, then approximately 25 or 26 years old, was present, but so was a 9-year-old girl. And according to the Bay County Sheriff's Department, that girl, who is now 14, recently participated in a forensic interview, which is a structured evidence-based process that's typically conducted at a child advocacy center, and it's actually designed specifically for cases involving child victims. It's not your typical cop and victim interview. It's a lot more delicate than that. So during this interview, she disclosed multiple incidents involving Joseph Duggar that occurred over the course of that vacation. The alleged pattern, as described by both the Bay County Sheriff's Office and detailed report from the Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette, went like this. Duggar repeatedly asked the girl to sit on his lap. The behavior escalated. He asked her to sit beside him on a couch and placed a blanket over them. And under the blanket, he manipulated her underwear and made contact with her lower half. He rubbed his hands along her thighs, and this happened on multiple occasions during that trip. Now, eventually, the victim told investigators Duggar would apologize, and the incidents would stop after the apology. But she carried this for 5 years. Can you imagine being a 9-year-old girl and you probably don't fully understand what's happening to you at the time? you don't have any context. And as you start to grow up and, 14-year-olds now are not the way 14-year-olds were when I was a kid. I think they are a lot more highly educated. They are fortunately and also unfortunately exposed to a lot more thanks to the internet. And I think she just really must have anyways, I don't want to speak for her, but she must have come to the realization that what happened to her was not right. And the bravery she had to speak up is so, so, so admirable. So this case actually broke a couple days ago when the victim's father confronted Joseph Duggar directly about what had happened to his daughter. And here's where the case actually takes an unusual turn for this kind of crime. Duggar admitted to it, not just to the father, but also to the detectives with the police department who were brought in after the confrontation. Those admissions were subsequently corroborated during formal investigative interviews, and so a warrant was issued from Bay County, Florida, and Joseph Duggar was in custody by approximately 4 p.m. the following day. His mugshot was released by the Washington County Sheriff's Office Wednesday morning, literally yesterday. And he's currently sitting in the Washington County Jail in Arkansas awaiting extradition to Bay County, Florida. Now, no court date has been set, no defense attorney has been publicly identified, but the Bay County Sheriff's Office has stated that the investigation remains ongoing. Now, this story is extremely fresh, and I want to pause here and be transparent about what exactly we're working with, because this matters for how we should all be processing everything that follows. This story broke less than 24 hours ago. The investigation is still active, and Joseph Duggar has been charged but not convicted, so he legally is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, multiple major media outlets have reached out to the Duggars for comment and haven't received anything back. A family spokesperson, however, did tell the Daily Mail that no statement had been issued as of last night. Joseph's wife, Kendra Caldwell Duggar, has been completely silent, and so have Jim Bob and Michelle. But the most explosive reporting element, which we're about to dig into heavily, comes from Fox 5 Atlanta, which reported that Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar admitted that they knew about the incidents involving Joseph and the victim. According to the reporting, the parents opted for internal church counseling rather than contacting law enforcement. And this mirrors exactly what they did when Josh confessed to molesting his sisters over a decade ago. If accurate, it means the Duggar parents were aware of the child SA allegations involving two of their sons on two separate occasions and twice chose the same path: silence, prayer, and damage control. And in my opinion, they need to be held accountable. They are complicit. If you don't punish the behavior persists. The person doing the behavior thinks that they are justified in doing the behavior because they have a support system that is surrounding them, making the blow a little bit easier to take. And that's disgusting. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. That is horrifying. Now, that is the systemic thread that makes this more than just some breaking news arrest story, and it's the thread that we need to start trying to pull. The charges are not misdemeanors. They are not slaps on the wrist. Under Florida Statute 800.04, the specific combination of an offender aged 18 or older and a victim younger than 12 produces the most severe classification available: a life felony. Florida's Criminal Punishment Code assigns this offense a level 9 severity ranking and imposes a mandatory minimum sentence of 25 years in prison. The maximum is life imprisonment. There's no gain time, meaning the offender serves every single day of the sentence with no possibility of early release for good behavior. And if released, the offender is subject to sex offender probation for the remainder of their natural life and must register as a sex offender permanently. But here's what makes this landscape a little bit difficult. Florida law explicitly strips away several of the most common defenses in these cases. Consent cannot be raised as a defense. Minors are legally incapable of consenting to sexual activity. The offender's ignorance of the victim's age cannot be raised as a defense. Any misrepresentation of age by the victim cannot be raised as a defense. These are strict liability provisions. If the act is proven, the conviction follows. So for context, Josh Duggar was sentenced to 12 and a half years in federal prison for receiving and possessing child SA material. Joseph's potential sentence, if convicted as charged, starts at 25 years and goes up to life. The alleged confession made to both the victim's father and the police detectives represents an enormously significant piece of evidence. Confessions to law enforcement, when properly obtained, are among the most powerful tools prosecutors have. The admissibility and weight of that confession will be determined through the legal process, but its existence fundamentally shapes the trajectory of this case. So to understand why Joseph's arrest lands the way it does, you got to understand a little bit of the history, because this family has been here before and the parallels are absolutely damning. I did do a deep dive last year on the Duggars. If you want to watch that, please click on this link here. I will try to remember to also pin it down in the top comment below, but I'm going to offer you just a very brief overview here, just so you have a little bit more context. So in 2015, old police reports surfaced revealing that Josh Duggar, the eldest of the children, had confessed to molesting 5 underage girls when he was a teenager. 4 of those victims were his own sisters. Jim Bob Duggar acknowledged that Josh had confessed to him directly. And as stated before, the family's response was not to contact law enforcement. Josh was instead sent to a faith-based treatment program. And a family friend who happened to be a state trooper gave Josh what was described as a stern talking to, but filed no report. You're all disgusting. It was years before the justice system became involved in any meaningful way. And by the time the police reports came public in 2015, the statute of limitations on the molestation allegations had expired. So Josh was never charged for those acts. Nope. Now, Jim Bob and Michelle later acknowledged on TV that 4 of the victims were their daughters. They put it on television. Jill Duggar Dillard and Jessa Duggar Seawald eventually came forward publicly. Jessa notably defended her brother in a sit-down with Fox News, insisting that the worst labels being applied to Josh were exaggerated, while simultaneously acknowledging that she had been a victim. My heart breaks for her because she probably has so much indoctrination going in her brain. She probably had her family encouraging her to say certain things. And I mean, honestly, it's just a profoundly dissonant moment, one that spoke less to her character, but more to the environment in which she was raised. And it's disgusting. So although TLC canceled 19 Kids and Counting in 2015, they would create a spin-off called Counting On that launched that same year and ran up until 2021, when it was pulled after Josh's actual arrest on federal charges for child pornography. Josh was convicted in December 2021 of receiving and possessing child SA material, some of which depicted the SA of children younger than 12. He was sentenced to 12.5 years in federal prison with 20 years of supervised release to follow. Also a $10,000 fine and over $40,000 in additional fees. So his earliest possible release date is October 2nd, 2032, and that is too soon. It is literally in 6 years? No. Keep that man locked up. And I don't know if this is surprising. It feels surprising to me. Maybe I'm just so angry, but he's continued to fight his conviction. Luckily, his appeals have been denied by the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and the U.S. Supreme Court, but recently brought on Chicago attorney Bo B. Brindley, who is previously known for representing R. Kelly, to pursue a new post-conviction motion arguing that he was denied a fair trial. Give it a break, dude. You have essayed children. So just give it a break. We need to keep you locked up. But this detail, age is the worst. Back in December 2015, Joseph Duggar himself appeared on the TLC spinoff Jill and Jessa, Counting On. He was 20 years old. And looking into the camera, he said that he was shocked by Josh's criminal allegations, that he didn't think any of the siblings could have known Josh was living what Joseph called a secret life. He said, "It broke my heart." 5 years later, according to prosecutors, Joseph was molesting a 9-year-old girl under a blanket on a couch during a family vacation, you disgusting creep. You should be sick. I'm sickened. I'm sickened. Now we have to consider the parents knowing about the SA, but not discussing it. Because in Florida, failure to do so is a first-degree misdemeanor that can carry up to 1 year in jail. So I really hope that happens. Honestly, they need to be locked up longer. We need to stop giving abusers platforms like this, or abuser-adjacent people who could have said something but didn't, who could have protected their own children but didn't. I mean, we could get into the whole Taylor Frankie Paul of it all. Let me know if you want me to cover that, but I don't want this channel to veer into like a gossip channel. I want it to stay maintaining facts and being a place for education. But if you're familiar with all the stuff going on with Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and Taylor Frankie Paul, it's like it's explosive. It is explosive. So if you do want me to talk about that, I can. There's just not a ton of verified information that we know quite yet. So with all of that, I want to hear your thoughts down below. I'm eager to hear what you all have to think. I also, in addition to doing a deep dive on the Duggars themselves, I did a deep dive into the IBLP, which is the cult. You can click on this video here. I will also pin it down in that top comment below so that you can get just full context of everything going on. And I'll be sure to hop on to provide any updates as we move forward into this case, because we need to figure out a way to make sure people are squashing this type of BS. This is disgusting. I'm horrified. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're horrified. I'll never understand the attraction to children ever, ever, ever. I'm in my 30s, and if I see a guy in like low to mid 20s, I'm like, oh, you're a baby. Like, I can't. It's sickening. It's sickening. And the fact that there are churches and higher ups at churches that are willing to hide that for the sake of optics and reputation, I would respect these organizations like Basic Life Principles, which is IBLP. It's a conservative Christian organization, if you don't know. Why are you not setting the standard? This is why people leave organizations like this, and rightly so, because you're not transparent and you don't protect the children of your congregation. Everyone involved who knew about this or did these things should be held accountable. And if there is a church anywhere, a cult anywhere that hides abuse or conducts abuse themselves, they need to lose their tax-exempt status. They need to be held accountable. The leaders of the church need to be pulled. Like, we need to hold these people accountable better. I'm horrified. I'm disgusted. I'm sure a lot of you share these sentiments. If you know more about this, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any connection to these people, if you live in Arkansas or if you live in Florida and you have any inside scoop, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. Email me if you feel like you want to be more anonymous, private about it. Just let me know, guys. Oh my gosh. Again, I will keep you abreast of any updates that I find. And in the meantime, please stay safe out there. I have a fantastic Manosphere video coming out on Saturday, so please subscribe, hit that notification bell, look out for that. I am really excited. We're going to analyze the Manosphere and then go through the actual statistics that are real and factual that contradict everything the Manosphere says and kind of unpack the male psyche a little bit. So everybody, with all of that being said, please take care of yourself. Speak up when you see something bad happening. And overall, stay safe out there. Ask questions and always stay skeptical. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this bonus episode. See you soon. Bye.